AI safety leader AutoAlign has proudly partnered with NVIDIA to integrate their Sidecar firewall with NVIDIA's NeMo guardrails, ensuring secure deployment of custom chatbot AI models. And if you're a business owner looking to confidently deploy LLM and generative AI solutions, then this episode is right up your alley. Welcome to our podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Once again, I am Ann Cheng, your host, and today we are uncovering the world of generative AI security with Dan Adamson, who is the co founder and CEO of AutoAlign. Dan is a RegTech veteran with a remarkable track record in AI driven solutions. And he founded Outside IQ, a company that developed AI based AML technology currently deployed globally. His career includes successful exits to Microsoft and Exeger, along with several patents in AI and search algorithms. If I'm not even a fan yet, guess what? Dan's latest venture, AutoAlign, is focused on making generative AI safe and secure for businesses all around the world. And so they've created this product called Sidecar, which is a dynamic AI firewall system that protects against hallucinations. We all need some of that, prompt injections, and jailbreaks, and so much more, all while preserving the power and potential of large language models. Oh my God, Dan, it's so amazing to have you here. I'm such a fan.
And thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Absolutely. Dan, your career spans so many areas of artificial intelligence. So, what led you to specifically focus on the security challenges in Gen AI?
Well, I go back probably too many years deploying different AI systems and found that the hard part wasn't actually developing these systems. It was gaining the trust and the ability to actually deploy them in settings where they might be what we might call material models or areas where there were consequences if you got things wrong. And how do you trust models in those settings, whether it's regulatory, driven requirements where you might have a regulator breathing down your neck if something goes wrong, like think of a bank or financial institution, or whether safety is a real issue if you start to recommend the wrong part to somebody who's servicing an elevator and something goes wrong there. So the in those areas it's really critical that you have the trust of these you gain the trust around how your system's going to perform. And we found that there were no great approaches to testing at the time. There were folks from model validation that would take traditional approaches and try to apply them. But when generative AI came out and we started testing these systems, we found that basically there was a sea of red, meaning any sort of pillar or principle you would look at, they would end up failing, whether that was around performance with reproducibility, reliability, what we now call hallucinations, whether that was around bias. We'd see bias creeping in, all types of bias, gender, age, religious biases. We saw data leakage, right? So you take any of these categories, and we found these issues, and uh, we decided that it was very important to start to think about this in a mature way and try to separate the layers of the actual model from those safety layers to try to establish, I guess, what the industry might call guardrails, but try to establish them over uh, in a sort of operationalizing of those requirements and separate that out from the model. And that was the genesis of AutoAlign. And we think it's a really important function.
That's amazing. But maybe you can explain to the simpletons in me, at least, how Sidecar works as a dynamic AI firewall. What sets it apart from traditional security approaches?
Well, yeah, it's a great question because how you normally would handle AI safety right now, there's probably two major approaches. One would be you might fine tune your models, right? So you might actually go and try to harden them yourself. And we saw that with things like Google Gemini's image model, where it would come back with it had obviously been fine tuned for diversity, right? And so anything you would ask it, it would come back with diversity. There's a risk there what you overtune. So when you start to ask about founding fathers and it comes back with, diversity that may or may not be appropriate, it also tends to generally dumb down or focus in your models, and you lose some performance, especially around the bounds. So it's very hard to do that well, right? And the other approach is basically putting up guardrails or APIs or moderation APIs that might look at the inputs and the outputs. And there you're basically just increasing the refusal rates, right? You're basically saying, okay, this answer, we don't feel comfortable answering this, or this answer doesn't, there's something wrong. There might be toxicity, let's not answer, or this might be a jailbreak, let's not answer. And the reality is that you're just decreasing the performance that way too. And so we took a different approach with Sidecar, and we worked with some of the top labs in the world. We're excited about that work. And we said, well, instead of not answering, can we try to fix these things? Can we detect issues and try to fix them? And then you don't have such a concern about are you cutting something off or not. You're actually improving it or making it better. So we might take, for example, a question that leads to bias in the answer or potential bias. And then we go back and say, well, maybe we can improve that answer to make sure that it doesn't have bias. And so you're answering effectively. Or another question, if you type into one of the, you go type into one of the chat bots, hey, tell me what the right thinks about climate change. A lot of the models won't answer that question. They'll get sort of freezed up, or they've been trained, or there's a moderation endpoint that says, sorry, we can't answer that, right? And, uh, you know, I don't think in general people are trying to trick the engine there. They probably legitimately want to know, right? And so if you can come back with something that's factual, that is actually evidence based, you can provide a good answer that's not controversial in that setting. And so we try to do that. We work that Sidecar works alongside that model to sort of make sure that it's not being controversial, but it is answering the question as factually as possible. And so the great thing about this approach is what we found is you can actually protect your system, so you can actually make it safe and also improve performance at the same time. And we were able to show that. We had a white paper that came out with the NVIDIA collaboration, which we can talk about more. But this white paper showed that you could take these evals and you could actually improve safety and at the same time also improve performance, because suddenly you don't have to refuse as many things, right? You can actually answer these things uh, factually. So that's the approach. It's different. It does increase safety. It does. There's great jailbreaking, anti-jailbreaking capability that prevents jailbreaking to make prevent your model from looking stupid or silly. But it also is there to improve the performance and reliability of these systems. And we think that's an important part when we talk about AI safety.
That's amazing. And let's talk a little bit about your collaboration with NVIDIA. You've started, collaborating to integrate Sidecar with the Nemo guardrails. Tell us more about this partnerships and literally the implications for AI in general, not just Gen AI.
Yeah, so I think there's a few leading platforms out there that they've realized that it's not enough just to have a great base model, and NVIDIA has a Nemo platform which provides tools on top of that to allow you to create enterprise solutions. Their guardrail portion of that is focused on um, being able to intercept uh, calls and screen them. So think of traditional moderation. We were able to integrate, and they actually integrated Sidecar into guardrails. So now you can use that as part of the Nemo stack, and and that means that you have the flexibility of using this broader Nemo enterprise platform. You can use guardrails that they have out of the box, and then you can entwine that with Sidecar, which means that you can have mix and match or have the best of all worlds and incorporate Sidecar for those sort of critical safety and performance aspects where you need it. And it's exciting for us because it allows enterprises that sort of value safety to be able to then incorporate this seamlessly into a broader stack. And Nemo's doing a lot of work around multimodal models, which we're helping with. We have alignment controls now for these, and it also enables sort of a gateway to sort of agent driven work where you can incorporate Sidecar as one of those component agents very seamlessly. So we're excited about the collaboration and the power that brings to enterprises as they're building these out.
That's amazing. One last question, since we're coming up to time, but given your experience with artificial intelligence and search technologies, what do you think is the future of the what's on the horizon for you? What is getting you excited? What gets you out of bed?
Well, I think it's exciting to see starting. We've seen a lot of R&D and pilots with Gen AI, and it's exciting to start to see them actually getting into production increasingly. And you do have to take security and safety seriously, and uh, but it's exciting to see it getting used for the first time ever. Enterprises have to think about their employees as being able to use tools, not just that they're being given, but also out of the box. We see employees adapting, ChatGPT and Claude, and so it's suddenly become uh, a part of the broader thinking about these enterprise tool sets. So I'm very excited about the future there. I'm excited about the work in agents that's happening, and I think it will allow us in this next phase to really have very very efficient employees who really can focus on things that add value. And I'm excited, and then I'm excited about more broadly the thrust into robotics. I think that there's an important safety component there too, but that this will be enabling a lot of, again, of efficiencies where we can really boost the next phase of the economy when this is done in a mature, thoughtful way.
That's amazing. Then it's so incredibly enlightening to hear your thoughts. I could go on forever. Thank you so much for joining us on our show today. And to our audience, if you've enjoyed this episode, please like and share this post. And my name is Anne, the CEO of Supercharged Lab. We've had Dan Adamson of AutoAlign on our show today. I'm signing off. We have even more AI insights coming your way. Don't miss our next episode.